Hello and welcome to an extraordinary episode of Michael and Mom Talk Cancer. I am your official host, Michael Kramer.
And I am the official mom, Ashlee Kramer, the other host, and oh my gosh. Okay, we're always excited for our guest. We're really excited for this guest. Her name is Erica Sand, and she is, you can see her. She's just beauty in motion. No, it's so true. We're so honored to have you, Erica. Wow.
Yeah, thank you so much for being a part of the podcast.
Thank you so much. I don't want to say too much about you. Sometimes I'll do a long intro, but I feel like it's your story and how you can tell it. And I think that I want everyone to hear it from you, not only because your voice is one of the most beautiful voices I've ever heard in my life,
but because of
which is one reason, but
your spirit, your energy, your aura, everything
about you.
Well, thank you for that lovely introduction.
Of course.
Thank you.
I don't really know what to say. Thank you.
And well, we'll start with how we met.
Yeah,
Go for it. Go for it.
Yeah, it was just through DM. It was just like through Instagram. Just like she messaged me and then we started talking, and I don't want to speak too much about your story and what you've been through because I know there's certain things that we kind of want to keep a little more private and whatnot, but I kind of want you to just tell the story of just why are you here today on our podcast? Like, and how did you find Michael and Mom?
Yeah, that's a good place to start. But I love that we met you through Instagram. Yeah. Everyone, the Instagram haters, social media, I will say, especially in the cancer world, I don't know, for us, social media has been such a support and a connection. But okay, Erica, now you talk.
And I've been on both sides of the cancer world because it was actually on July 7th, 2022 was my mother's funeral. And my birthday, actually, and she passed away. She had a glioblastoma, and I was the caretaker for 8 months with my newborn 4-month baby. Back to Montreal, and I was her caretaker. So I've been on both sides, and I made so many connections on Instagram of other people who had lost a parent. There's a group called Gray for Glioblastoma that's fabulous. I just connected with so many different communities and support groups via Instagram. And that was very, very helpful for me because people really don't understand. Unless you lived it, you really don't understand. You don't understand what it's like to get up every morning and go be somebody's cheerleader when inside you're falling apart and you want to cry, but you can't. Because that person needs you to go in there and smile and put on a show. And you are so lucky to have such a wonderful mother. I've watched all of your stories, and your mother is just like the radiation of love and support. And
well, hopefully not radiation, because I don't want any more radiation. But... I'm kidding.
He's sarcastic. He's got a good sense of humor. It's that cancer humor,
Yeah, it's the cancer humor.
Yes.
I will thank you, but it is so true. I think that people don't understand unless you've been through it. Exactly what you said. And as a caregiver, I mean, now you've been on both sides, but as a caregiver too, I just see this with my caregiver. You just said also you were juggling a 4-month-old baby. You're juggling a career, the person you're taking care of, your family. It's not just one thing, and it's complicated, and it's scary to break down. You don't want to break down, and it's so complex.
I didn't break down until my mother died. That's when I broke down. I was like in there. What are we having for lunch? You're having your Villeroy and Bosch. I had her beautiful table settings. I wanted her to maintain her dignity. That was very important for me. I was like a manic lunatic, preparing, cooking, doing everything. I became my mother. My mother was such a hostess and everything had to be perfect. So I wanted in the hospital, I didn't realize at the time what I was doing, but I went into this crazy manic mode of, no, I'm sorry, my mother doesn't need hospital food. She's having the lasagna that I made from her recipe book. And it's
Yes.
ironic because it was her 70th birthday the year before, and I gifted her a cookbook called Our Mother's. It's going to make me very emotional, called
Mm.
Our Mother's Kitchen, and it was all of her recipes. And I gave it to her before she was sick, so she was known for her cooking, and she was a very, just like a very nice. Everyone had something nice to say about her. She would talk to strangers. She was from a community of, an upper class community where people don't really behave that way. And
Mm.
she was the most humble person, and she was best friends with all the salespeople in all the stores, and go to lunch with them and talk to them on the phone. And like, whether you're a garbage man or the prince, my mother saw everybody the same way. And she really inspired me to be the nicest and kindest person that I could possibly be.
It's
So
making me cry.
yeah,
That's
I had a great mother, and you remind me of my mother a lot. That's
oh.
I was
also
gonna say I can definitely relate to what you're saying in that terms of your mother inspiring you to be such a good person because I feel the same way about my mother by my side right here.
Well, you are both also inspiring in other ways, but wow, yeah, you made me cry about your mom. I love that because what's so interesting about that is we feel that cancer is so humbling and it puts everyone on the same level because when you're in the hospital, when you're going through chemo, it doesn't matter if you're wealthy, it doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter what you look like. We're all on the same level. So, but your mom was like that before, and that's beautiful. But you have so many things to share, but you have your own story.
I
And
do, and it's just so crazy. And I'm a very spiritual person, and I do a lot of Reiki, and
okay,
I'm open to all the things, the
yes,
sound baths, the past life regressions, the
yes.
meditations. I do it all. And somebody, a doctor, an oncologist at the hospital told me, I just turned 38 last week, so I was looking to say 37, but I'm now 38. And he said to me, it doesn't make any sense that you have a stage 3 tumor on this vital organ at your age. And he's like, I'm Hindu, and it must be that your grief has expressed yourself in your body.
Oh,
You suffered a trauma recently. Because the coincidence of my mother dying of cancer and then me just like basically immediately getting cancer after is just, it's, the coincidence is like more like synchronicity, it's too much.
right.
It's too much. And I was not moving forward in my grief. And my Reiki specialist, her name is Mama Oracle. You guys should follow her on Instagram.
Okay, we will.
That's funny. I like that name.
Just like from a distance, she is magical.
Okay.
And she told me, Erica, this is your alarm that you need
Mm,
to move forward in your grief. This is your body telling you you need to move forward in your grief, because I was not. The more time that passed, that my mother passed away, the worse my grief was getting.
right.
So it was my alarm. And until I was diagnosed with cancer, it really was an alarm for me. Now I carry it. I carry it differently. And I also believe, because of so many signs that I saw, and I saw my mother more than once during various experiences in the hospital. Like I was in an MRI machine. They said that it was a 45-minute MRI. And
Right.
for me, it felt like 30 seconds. And out of the corner of my eye, I saw my mother sitting in the chair. And I was
Aw.
talking to her. And I mean, the people there, they probably thought I was crazy. I was talking out loud. I was
Wow.
smiling. I was having this
Mm.
out of body experience. And then they were just like, okay, it's finished. And it felt like 30 seconds. It didn't make
Wow.
any
Well,
sense.
I want that type of MRI.
I
right?
My MRIs, they're 45 minutes and they feel like they're 5 hours. And I don't talk to anybody. I'm in there
I
talking to myself, going crazy.
That's why, and it had not been my first MRI. And so, and then I spoke with my Reiki, and my grandmother was sitting next to my mother. She wasn't
wow.
like the big presence. She was like the sidekick. And then I spoke with my Reiki specialist, and I didn't tell her the story. And she said,
Okay.
I want you to know your mother is sitting with me now, and she's
Mm.
no longer your angel, because she was your angel until this happened. And now she's your archangel, and she's always with you. And her mother is like her comes around with her, but her mother isn't at the same status as her. And I was just like, how does she know?
How does she know?
Like,
How
Wow.
did she know that your
yes.
grandmother was there?
And it was crazy. And I was asking during the MRI, I was asking my mother questions, and she was answering
Mm.
me. And I asked her, do you ever see, my other grandmother? And she was like, they didn't really get along that well. She's like, yeah, I see her around. And it wasn't like I asked them, I said, what did you put in my arm? They put that dye in your arm.
Yeah.
Like, what did
Yeah.
you guys put in my arm? They're like, just dye. And I was like, are you
A little
sure?
mushroom, some mushrooms in there or something.
Shoot me up with something. But because I'm a very lucid person, and I had this experience and I feel like there's a difference between imagining, like I tried to imagine my other grandmother being there, my father's mother, and I couldn't. And
Mm.
that's how I find in those experiences, when it's a memory, it becomes a memory. That's how you know that it was really a real interaction with the other side. Because otherwise, like when you imagine things, it doesn't store in your brain as a memory,
Right.
because it's a real
Right.
memory, like it really happened.
Wow.
So I had a few experiences like that. And then I didn't know. So I had a stage 3 tumor, and it wasn't good.
How
It was
long?
all in my how did pardon?
I was just gonna say, how long after your mother? So she passed away July 7th of 2022. How long
Yes.
after that?
And
And what were your signs?
I was really tired.
Yeah,
I'm
tired.
like a tornado. Like, my name is Erica Sand. They call me Sandstorm. I'm
Yeah.
a tornado. I'm a go, 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 go. I want to go here. I want to go there. I love my life. I
Yeah.
built my life from zero. I moved from Montreal to Paris. I chose my friends. I chose everything, so I curated this this life that when you grow up in a place and it's like, this is what's available, and it's different than when you've chosen to move somewhere. And it took me a very long time. I've lived here now for 12 years to build
Okay.
this life that's literally my paradise. I love my life. So
Wait,
I
is your husband French
so
or is he is your
pardon?
husband French?
My ex-husband is
Your ex, okay. I wasn't sure because you have a baby that now is
babies. I have two beautiful sons, Luca and Leo. They're 14 months apart.
okay.
And my mother was married to my father. Until the day she died, and they were married. And my father's, I don't want to say anything, my father's a very intelligent man, but they weren't meant to be married. It
Right.
wasn't there. I never saw them kiss once in my life, ever.
Mm.
I never saw
Mm.
any sort of interaction like that. So my mother, you know, um, her glioblastoma was on her speech center, and she would just blurt out things sometimes, only to me, and I won't repeat them. But I didn't. I realized that I wasn't as happy as I should be in my relationship. And when my
Okay.
mother passed away, I immediately left my husband immediately, because I didn't
Wow.
A
want
tough
to.
decision, but I'm
But
happy you made the right choice.
yeah, and
Yeah.
we are such good friends. He,
Beautiful.
he has been there for me. He was not there for me at all when my mother was sick, and that really bothered me, because I was like, "You're so selfish. You're taking the kids." And first of all, I'm like, "Hey, I took the kids with me. You're mad because I'm not making you pasta for dinner? Like, make your own
Yeah.
pasta, you know?"
Yeah.
But I didn't want to have any regrets. and you
Right.
are never going to see my mother ever again.
Mm.
Glioblastoma is not something that you have any hope for. It's a timeline. And
Yeah.
got this download from the universe in October, and I told my whole family, and I said, she's going to die on my birthday. And they said, no, she has 2 years. And I said, no, she's going to die on my birthday. I know. And I booked my
Wow.
flight back to Paris. I'm from a Jewish background family. And
Okay.
we visit Shiva for 7 days after somebody dies. You have 7 days of mourning that person with everybody in the family, and you eat, and you say, you reminisce. And anyway, so I counted 7 days from July 7th, and I booked my flight back to Paris in October. Why? I don't
Wow.
know. Yes. It's a muscle that it's something that I used to have I used to think I had a vivid imagination, and then I started to trust it. And now when I get these feelings, I just go with it, and I know. There's just certain things that I know.
Wow.
So on July 5th, my mother was in the care center, and she was really, really suffering. She was really suffering. And I went and I whispered in her ear, and I wasn't aware that my brother was standing in the room. I have three brothers, because it was such an intimate moment with my mother. And I went and I whispered in her ear, and I said, Mom, Grandma, my mother for 20 years, she cried about my grandmother having passed for 20 years. And I regret so much. I used to be like, Mom, she died 20 years ago.
Right.
When are you going to stop crying? And now I understand, because I know that for the rest of my life, I'm going to cry with that I miss my
Yeah.
mother. And I didn't, you can't understand until you live it,
Yeah.
Anyway, when we're young, we say silly things, but anyway, and
Because we haven't lived it. It's not that we say silly things, but we have to live it. We have
yes,
to go
I
through it.
didn't understand. I didn't understand. I'm like, it
Yeah.
was 10 years ago. Like,
Yeah.
haven't you moved past it? But of course, you can never move past losing somebody. I think you have to learn how to live with it and
Yeah.
how to carry it differently, and which is what I'm working on doing, and which I've really advanced in my own illness. But just to finish what I was saying is, so it's July 5th, and I went into her room, and they told us she's going to live like she's got another year ahead of her. And I went in her room, and I whispered in her ear, and I said, Mom, you've never missed my birthday. Every single year, my mother flew to Paris for my birthday, and
Mm.
she was the life of the party. She was friends with all my friends. She was the star of my Instagram. Everybody was asking for Francie. We want Francie. We want Francie, because she was so funny. And I knew that she didn't want to miss my birthday, and I knew that she was hanging on for my birthday. And I went, and I lied to her, and I told her, Mom, your mother is waiting at the door to take you for ice cream, and you're late. She's there, and she wants you to go with her, and she's waiting for you, and you are late, and she's not happy with you, young lady. So you better go with her right now. And I didn't know my brother was in the room, and I walked out of the room. This was, heavy, because you have to, you're like saying it in like trying to be funny and comical, but like what you're saying is you're telling your mother to die. And I walked out of the room, and my brother called me, and he said, she listened to you. She just died.
Oh,
So she was
Chills.
holding on. Yes. And according to the rabbi, the funeral, what they said, we understand it's your birthday. Do you want us to change the date of the funeral? And I said, well, if it wasn't my birthday, when would the funeral be? And they said on July 7th. And I said, and so it was written, and so it shall be done, and we will keep it
Okay.
like that. And a beautiful full circle story is that after my surgery, so I had a life-saving surgery that had a 10% risk of death, which is, I mean, in North America, they'd be like 90% survival rate, but in France, you know,
It's 10%. I know.
yeah,
I
yeah.
was married to a Frenchman, lady.
you are currently.
No, my husband who passed away.
I read that. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So he passed. So I'm relating to everything you're saying about grief. Still cry to this day, but you do carry it differently. I will tell you that it's been 8 years. And He was French, so I can agree with you about what you just said.
Possible. Everything is
C'est pas possible.
yeah, and it's like, can't you say 90%? Why do you have to come in with the 10%? Like
That's so French.
90%, and I'll be like, oh, 90%, that's amazing. And I was frightened because I have two small sons and I'm a single mother, and I have, who takes them every second weekend, but it's not the same. And
No.
I'm best friends with my children, and I know what it feels like to lose a parent. And I was just beside myself when I got this diagnosis. And
Wait, go back. Tell us how long
yes,
after your mom passed away that you were diagnosed.
so about a year
Okay.
later,
Okay.
I would say a year
Okay.
later, but still the evening before, I was still crying in my bed, yelling like mummy, like a little girl, and crying in my shower that entire time. Like nothing was getting better for me. It was getting worse and worse and worse. Every birthday my child had, every time my sons grew out of something that she had bought for them, I would just fall apart. I was just not doing well, not
Every
great.
anniversary,
Yeah.
oh, I know.
Every campaign that I got that I couldn't send her.
Oh,
I had to,
right.
I spoke to my mother on the phone 15 times a day.
I feel you.
Literally, literally,
Yeah.
like, Mom, it says a pinch of salt in your recipe. What is a pinch? What do you mean? Like, big pinch, a small pinch. And then I would like call her back and like send a picture. Like, it was like literally insufferable.
Oh,
And we had that beautiful, those 10 years to form a friendship, because we didn't have that friendship when I lived in Montreal. And I'm from Montreal originally. When you
right.
grow up and your parent is your parent, and then she came and saw my life, and our whole relationship changed, and we became like best girlfriends. It was so much fun. And we had that for 10 years. So that was awesome. And
Yeah.
so it's crazy is the synchronicity is that and then we'll go back because I am skipping ahead, but I was in the hospital. I didn't know when I was leaving the hospital, and the surgeon walks into the in on 3 weeks ago. It was 2 weeks ago,
Yeah.
on July 7th, 2024, and says, "Get out of here. You're cancer free. You can go. Go home."
So was
On
it
your birthday and 2 years to the day after your mommy's funeral.
Yeah.
so
That
you had the
is,
surgery and did you have what was your treatment like?
well, you,
Chemotherapy. I would have 9-hour chemotherapy sessions every 21 days. And that's why
yeah.
I'm like, you dealt with this for 4 years, Michael. I dealt with
What?
this for
Yeah.
5 months.
Yeah.
For 5 months. I'm like, I have no complaints. For 5 months, I dealt with this. I didn't tell anybody about it. I wore a wig everywhere I went. I had the most convincing, made me bankrupt wigs are
I've seen it because on
I've
your
heard that
Instagram,
wigs are expensive, yeah.
I was looking at your hair and I was like, wait a second. I saw the photos bald and then I see the photos with the hair and your hair does not look like a
it
wig.
was a wig, and I went for like to Place Vendôme in Paris and had
Wow.
the most expensive wig made, because as a performer, the last thing that you want to be thinking about is somebody looking at my hair. Are
Yeah.
they gonna know? Do they know? Because I'm a freelancer. I'm an actor. I'm a copywriter as well. Um,
Okay.
and I don't have any contracts. And people treat you differently when I don't know if you've experienced this, Michael, but not treat you differently in a bad way, but it's like, let's not ask her because she has enough on her plate already.
Yes.
Let's not or there's the negative side is maybe she's not going to be reliable, because I do live in France. So, there maybe she won't be reliable, or
Right.
maybe she'll have some sort of an urgency. So I worked my butt off to create my two careers of copywriting. My clients are Prada, Yves Saint Laurent, the dream. This is the dream that I worked for 10 years to get clients like this.
Right.
Um, and just like that, if I felt that I had this crazy anxiety on me that if anybody found out I had cancer, I was gonna just lose everything. I was gonna
Yeah.
lose everything. And that's all I had. And I'm used to my nice lifestyle and buying my kids cute clothes and and being independent is very important to me. And so it was really scary. So my treatment, I had two different kinds. They would change the chemo bag in between. One was called Taxol, and the
Okay.
other one I don't remember what it was called. I remember the Taxol because I was allergic to it, but I still had to take it. And the
With
allergy,
Benadryl and with like being checked every 15 minutes and
oh my goodness.
oh
And I
Hmm.
yes.
was doing
Yeah.
castings in the room. I would be like, I'm doing a casting. Can you please stop? And I would bring my
Yeah.
lighter.
Well, that's very
They thought
interesting.
I was crazy. They thought I was, but
Oh my,
then they began to like me. But at first they
they
thought
began to love you, not
they
like you.
began, yes, what they didn't want me to leave in the end. But when they
I'm
first
sure.
told me, they're like, who is this girl? I had signed Yves Saint Laurent Beauty as a client at 9:30 a.m. and 2:30 p.m. I was diagnosed with stage 3 cancer. And I said, my initial reaction, I said, what's the time commitment on this? Because I'm the writer for Yves Saint Laurent Beauty. That's what
Oh,
my reaction was. And they were like,
Wow.
what, like
oh
what's,
my
and then I
gosh.
started crying, of course. But my initial reaction was, so they thought I was they thought I was a little wacky.
And you're
But
being treated in France, right? You said.
yes, where
What's it like over there with the healthcare, and what's the
I,
hospital system like?
you know what? It is a dream.
Really?
Oh,
Yes, and I'm so sorry for everyone that I know who lives in the United States and what I hear about, first of all, the costs.
mm,
I didn't spend 1 cent on my treatment.
Wow.
I had private rooms. I had a menu. I had an app in the hospital where I would select my own what I want, what kind of cheese would I like, what kind of this, and this is a
Why
public.
are we in France?
wait a second.
Why
Hold
did you
on.
live in Miami?
Well, we've had beautiful treatment, wonderful people, I have to say.
Wonderful experiences with doctors
Wonderful.
and nurses, and just really great people. We have a great system here in Miami.
We've been really
Obviously,
blessed.
it's a mission.
Not good food though.
Not good
I'm
food.
with your mom on the hospital food. I would be ordering Michael food. I'd be making food or having people bring us food. So I'm with you on that one.
Uber Eats.
Uber Eats was
I would Uber Eats to the hospital too, because like at a certain point you get sick. They're not really friendly in France with gluten-free and dairy-free people, and I'm one of those
yeah.
people. So they were like, we don't know what to do with her. It's in France. So it's like, but everybody was extremely nice. I will say, I went to 2 hospitals. I moved out of Paris a year
That's
and
what
a
I
half.
saw as or I think you told me that in a message that you're
Yeah,
outside of Paris.
yes, it's a 24-minute train ride. The train is just outside my house. There's a chateau right outside my window. The
Wow.
Chateau de Saint-Germain-en-Laye. I
Okay.
love where I live.
Yes.
And it's right downtown, and you can take the train to the center of Paris, so to the Garnier Opera, for example, in
Right.
24 minutes. It's a direct train. So, and I have
Amazing.
the best of both worlds. I have, in Paris, an apartment in Paris is like, I don't know if you guys do meters or feet.
We can do either one.
We do
I,
feet.
I've lived here for so long that I don't understand feet except for like how tall I am. So,
Yeah.
but it's you basically live in a shoebox.
Yeah, I
Like
know.
I
I
was
was gonna say a
careful.
closet. Same thing.
Yeah, you live in. I had my clothes in my oven. I
Yeah.
want in
Yeah.
Paris when I was living in Paris, and for the same price, I have a 3-floor home
Right.
where I live. So, and I have a beautiful, the chateau. There's a garden. There's a playground for my children. And like my
Fun.
children grew up playing in the grounds of the chateau. So I feel like
What is the chateau?
It's a castle.
Oh,
castle.
It's like
I live directly in front of it. I can see it from every single window of my house. I got very, very lucky. And
you are in remission. You're done
I'm
with treatment for now.
done. I'm done
You're
with
done.
chemo. Apparently, so in France, administration is really long. If you remember that. Everything is
Right.
like papers and papers and papers. So
Yes.
when they told me that I went for an X-ray and they said, you have a 12 centimeter mass on X organ. So when they told me, you're gonna find a generalist who's gonna refer you then
Yeah.
and I didn't have a generalist because I just moved to this area. And they won't take anyone. You need a referral. It's impossible.
That's complicated in France. Oh, I remember that.
Oh my goodness. So I
Oh
didn't
my
even
goodness.
have a generalist. So that would have been like 2 weeks.
Right.
Then they're going to refer you to another sort of specialist. And then they're going to refer you to another specialist. And then they're going to transfer your file to the hospital.
Right.
And I said, I'm sorry. No. And they're like, "What do you mean no?" I'm just like it was the receptionist. Then I said, "Where's the doctor?" One of my favorite expressions is if somebody says no to you, it means you're speaking to the wrong person.
Yeah, that's great.
And it's made
Yes,
me
yes.
very tough now. Like if someone says no to me and I'm very polite, I'm like, "Well, why is that? Who made that rule?"
Okay. That's
Okay.
a really good
So
one.
I think it is a good one. And
I
I hate
like it. I'm adopting it. I like that.
you know who coined that term? And she does it. She has a rep. She's a very smart woman. It's Kris Jenner.
Oh my God, we were talking about Kris Jenner yesterday on our
That's
podcast.
so funny. We were.
She is one of the smartest women in the world, and she doesn't get the credit she deserves.
That is
People
so funny.
People love to hate her, but she is brilliant, and that's one of her. That's her. Sorry if somebody said no. I'm talking to the wrong person.
I'm writing this down.
It's so
That's
good.
crazy.
So I sat there and I refused to leave it had been a PET scan at that point. I think it's called a PET scan in English.
Yes,
Yeah, definitely.
yes.
That's
So
what, yeah.
here I forget what they call it, but and so they said it's going to be like another 6 weeks before you get to that end point. And I said, well, like, what if I have cancer?
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, well, no, you're 37. The type of cancer that it could be, there's no way that you have cancer. They're like, we can't guarantee you, but we're really not worried about you having cancer. And I said, listen, I'm under 40. Cells replicate very quickly under 40. So
Right.
I'm not going to spend 6 weeks. 6 weeks it can make or break my life. And I said, listen, I'm going to sit here. I spoke, the doctor came out. I said, hi, I'm Erica. Bonjour. Enchantée. I put on my nice mademoiselle, and I was there. And I was also crying. And I was like, I have 2 small children, and my mother just died of cancer. I'm not taking a risk. And I said, and he's like, I'm just a radiologist. Like, I don't know anybody. And I said, I'm a voice actor. I know directors. I know sound technicians. It's an industry. So do me a favor. He's like, I have appointments. I have other dossiers to look at. I said, so in between every dossier, send 1, 2 text messages. Hi, do you happen to know somebody who works at the end of the chain? And I sat there for 4 hours. And 4 hours later, he came out and he said, and he said, I have somebody on the phone. I got to the end of the chain for you, and I'm sending your dossier there now.
Do you remember this radiologist, his name?
I wish I did, because I owe him my life. Because
seriously,
somebody else would. I should go there and thank him. It's right next to my house. You know what? I will. I'm gonna.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Yes.
Wow, see, that's the thing about France. That wouldn't happen in the US.
Well, no.
No.
You know what? In the adult world, sometimes it's slower.
Well,
not that slow.
Not that slow.
But we pediatrics in the US, literally Michael had a blood test that came back on a Monday. The same day, we got an appointment with a specialist. The next day, he had his bone marrow biopsy.
It was cancer.
And we knew within 3 hours.
Yeah.
So 24 hours of his initial blood test, we found out he had cancer. He was admitted, had his port placed in. Within 48 hours of a funny blood test, he had a port.
Yeah.
So, but that's also pediatrics. I've heard stories about adults that have had to go through some hoops. Once you know it's cancer, it's usually a little bit quicker, but I know some people that have gone through hoops to get to the diagnosis, which it
Yeah.
sounds like. But it is, I know about that referral thing in France. You
Yeah.
are, I admire you, like I already admired you. And it is really ironic because we did an interview yesterday and she was talking about Kris Jenner being someone that inspired her and saying, I hope I don't get haters for saying this, but it's so funny that you brought up, like literally,
Tag Kris Jenner on this.
that's
Tag
so
her.
funny.
She's apparently a very nice woman. And yeah, and I saved myself. And I mean, I don't want to say I saved my own life, but I
You
definitely,
did.
I mean, so they did a biopsy on the organ that they removed, and well, actually, no, that's a lie. When they did all these tests, they can see where the cancer is. It was all in all my lymph nodes already. And once it's all in your lymph nodes, it's on its way to your brain.
Yes.
And once it's in your brain, they're not going to operate on you. That's what they told me. They're like, if it's in your brain, we're going to give you a timeline. Sorry to say. So I was just at like the tipping point. If I wouldn't have sat there and if I would have waited 6 more weeks, who knows? God forbid. I don't even want to know what would have happened. And so they said somebody will call you in the next few days from this hospital in Versailles, André Mignot, which is 15 minutes. Chateau Versailles is 15 minutes from my home.
Right.
And I hadn't even left the PET scan center yet, and my phone rang. And they're like, pack your bag, come here now. You expect to stay for a few days. And they were testing me for all, they thought I had like tuberculosis, all these crazy diseases they were testing me for. Cancer was on the bottom of their list. They put me in isolation. They're like, have you been to the Congo lately? I was
Oh
like,
my
no,
gosh.
I've been to Canada. I mean, that's really the only place I've been. But they put me in isolation, and it took a long time because, it took a long time for them to figure out what was wrong with me, ironically. And then within 4 days of figuring it out, I started my chemo, and I did 4 sessions of 9-hour chemo every 21 days.
Right.
And then, so after 21 days after the last chemo session, I had my surgery. I had an essential organ removed. And there is a cure drug because I have a cancer gene. And they told me, we can give you a miracle drug and you don't need to have your organ removed. But the study's only 5 years old.
Right.
So in 7 years, everybody could start dropping like flies.
Right.
And once you take the drug, we can't do the surgery after. So I was like,
That's
okay.
And they made you
That's
make
so-
that decision, or was it a
Well,
decision you made with your
It's a
team?
really good question. Is I had this connection. This is when I met the surgeon 4 days before the surgery, after I was cleared for not having any. It hadn't metastasized to my brain. I was really on the limit, like on the tipping point. And the chemo, I was very, very reactive to the chemo. When they did they like kind of dissect the organ after they remove it, they said your lymph nodes had no more cancer in it at all from the chemo.
Okay.
So that's how reactive it was, which was great. But anyway,
Amazing.
yes. So my grandmother was a doctor, and I admire my grandmother so much because she was a Jewish female doctor in 1935 living in Milan.
Wow.
And that's like, already you're a woman. It's
Wow.
1945. You're a woman and you're Jewish. And it's World War II. And
Oh
she
my
was,
God.
and
That's insane.
it was insane. And she was a very well respected doctor. And she's somebody that I admire so much. And my father gave me her diplomas, and I've had them framed. And I had them restored. It was something that I had just done. and I had a picture of it on my phone. And they met the surgeon, and my grandmother she did one of her degrees at the University of Moldova. Her family sent her to Moldova. I guess, I don't know, it's cheaper or something. I don't know. But so they sent her there. And I said to him, well, you have an accent. Are you Italian? Because my grandmother is Italian. And he said, no, I'm Romanian. And now Moldova is part of Romania. And I said, my grandmother went to the University of Moldova and she was a doctor. And I said, look at this. And I showed him the medical certificate. And the surgeon, his jaw dropped to the floor. And he said, the man who signed that certificate in 1935, his son became the director of the school. I went to that school.
Wow.
He's my mentor and best friend.
Oh my God.
What
The
a coincidence.
connections.
That's crazy.
Wow.
And so then I felt like we kind of had a familial connection, you know? And he told me, I can't make that choice for you. So that's
Right.
the answer to your question. And I said, listen, we're basically cousins here.
If it were your cousin, what would you
do?
say?
Yeah, that's what you got to ask them.
Yeah.
I called my father. My father speaks Romanian. And I called my father at 4:00 in the morning in Canada, and I put him on speaker, and I said, Daddy, the surgeon's Romanian. You guys have a conversation. Because I just wanted to, to like remove that barrier of, doctor to patient and kind of
human.
Let's all be friends and let's all do this together. I guess that's what I was doing. And yeah, we joked about Romanian food because my grandmother had that in her culture. She lived in Moldova for a long time. I knew all the foods and everything. And I asked him, he said, I said, well, what should I do? And he said, I can't make that decision for you. And I said, okay, so if it was your daughter, what would you do? And he said, I would remove the organ and then take the drug. Yes.
So are you taking it? Yes.
I haven't started taking it yet because I've just come back from the hospital, believe it or not, on the 7th of July.
Right.
And so on August 8th, I'm going to see the oncologist and I'll be beginning that immunotherapy treatment for 3 years, 1 pill a day for 3 years. That's targets a gene. It's the gene. I'm really not great at medical terms or financial things. I think it's EFRG plus is a gene.
No clue what that even means or what is, so don't worry.
But there's so many immunotherapies that work so well now. It's changed. And so there's so many more targeted therapies. Even since Michael was diagnosed with cancer, we've seen it change.
A lot more.
Yeah, so this is like the miracle drug for people. 4% of the population have this gene, and they found a cure for cancer for people with that gene. Again, the study's only 5 years old, but I'm taking the pill.
Okay.
It's an anti-tumor pill because I have a genetic mutation and I have a gene, a cancer gene. It could manifest anywhere else in my body. So hopefully this will be preventative. And I have been declared, I'm cancer-free. I've been declared just like that. Like it's a, it's miraculous. It's completely miraculous. And like when my mother died, it's the aftermath that's been kind of the hardest part for me. Is like I've been like crying a lot.
It's it's so hard.
And I'm like sitting here crying, and I don't know why.
We can relate.
And I don't know why.
It's a lot. You've been through a lot. There's a lot to process. You're still going through a lot. You still have a lot of things you're dealing with in the future, a lot of uncertainty in your life. And I can relate to that aspect of being on treatment long term. I know it's different for what I'm going through compared to you, but similar in a way. You're going to be on medication for 3 more years and a lot of uncertainty. That definitely brings out a lot of emotion. So that is a big reason why. And would you say that's like your biggest challenge? Because I know you're also a mother. You have a life,
job,
and now you're caring, and now you have your health on the table. You have your kids. You're trying to get them in the playground and give them a beautiful childhood in France. So is that a big challenge for you right now?
It is. I really miss them. Last night we went for a picnic in the park together. And that was the first time that I've really been able to, it's kind of hard for me to walk around. I get really, really tired.
It's been 1 week,
3 weeks,
Erica.
3 weeks.
2 weeks.
Yeah,
Sorry, the
yeah.
seventh. The seventh. So
Be
okay,
easy,
yes.
be easy.
Be easy, girl.
But it's
Right.
been 2 weeks since the surgery.
Yeah.
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 It takes time.
Go easy on yourself.
You know, the body takes a while to recover from these
Like
things.
to do things and I can't do anything. And also in France, I don't know if you remember, in the summer, no one does anything.
No one does anything in the summer. Yeah.
This year it's the Olympics, so it's like all the French people are like, we are leaving. We don't want to be a part of this.
Yes.
It's chaos out there. The Olympic flame actually at 4 p.m. just went by my window.
Oh my God.
So I told my ex-husband, I said, take the kids. I said, film it for me. I'm not going out there. Like, I don't want to be a part of that. But this year with the Olympics, it's chaotic, and there's not a lot going on. And for me, my work is my therapy, is my medicine, is what lights me up. And so I'm very lucky that I found a project. There's these two women, they're called the Book Doulas, and they're out of Los Angeles, and they accepted me, and they're going to coach me, and we're doing a book proposal. So I'm going to write a book.
Beautiful.
Because I'm a writer, and so
Nice.
that's what I'm spending my summer doing. But I haven't been able to start yet because I've just been sitting here crying like a baby.
Girl.
That's the best time to write.
I have homework. I have homework for tomorrow. I have a coaching session tomorrow. I haven't started.
You also need to be kind to yourself.
I know.
You need to be kind to yourself.
Yeah, watch some Michael and Mom. You know, we talk about it. We talk about being kind.
You guys are like the best. I know. I'm just kidding. Scroll through your whole Instagram. You guys are the best, and you're such like a. I feel like you're from like Los Angeles. You have a Los Angeles vibe. You get that a lot.
Me or her, both of us.
Your mom is like, you know, like you're like a very like love and energy and like.
I don't think that's Los Angeles.
No?
Los Angeles is more. I think she's just.
I don't know. Get like maybe old school California. Well, I have a lot of friends in Paris that are from California, and they're like rays of sunshine.
Aww.
And so for now, I know I need to be kind to myself.
You do.
I've been having a really rough, and I hate to say it because everyone, you know, I did a story the other day on I don't know if you guys saw it, but saying like, I find it very triggering when people write me messages that I'm a hero.
I know.
And
I understand.
I'm not a hero.
I know.
I'm not out fighting for a country. I'm not out risking my life voluntarily. I didn't choose what happened to me. I didn't choose this. This is the hand that I got dealt. And I wanted to show my vulnerability because I feel like on Instagram, and I have this image because I'm a kind of a public person with the voice acting and the campaigns that I've done and a little bit of modeling here and there. And if you look at my Instagram, people don't realize that I'm a really sensitive person, and no one would think that I'm sitting at home crying. And so I wanted people to see that because I wanted people to understand that, like, you know, it's not like, yay, survived cancer, let's go party. It's like, no, there's still a lot of healing to be done, and it's just the beginning.
Yeah, because healing isn't just physical. It's definitely not. A lot of it is emotional. So totally understand where you're coming from there. It's good to be vulnerable and open, and it is interesting when people say you're like an inspiration, you're a hero. You know, well, you know, you didn't choose that, and
it bothers me.
I understand where you're coming from, but people mean. I mean, again, people mean well.
I know they mean well.
Yeah.
I don't mind when people say, I want to inspire people. That's why I want to write my book, because
good.
It's a 3-part book. And it's the first part is about all the beautiful moments and memories I had with my mother for 10 years in Paris. The second part is about me being her caretaker and her illness. And the third part is about my illness. And I
Right.
did do it all with a smile. I did. I have a very dear friend named Diane B. Gray. Perhaps you've heard of her. She is, I believe she's now the president or the ambassador of the Kubler-Ross Foundation.
Okay.
And I met her on Instagram.
That's crazy.
Yes. And I asked her for a session because I was so upset about my mother. And 6 months later, because of course she's so well known and such so high profile, she was never going to answer just my message. And I'm sitting in a Starbucks in Montreal in my car in a parking lot, and she answers my message and she's like, you know what? I'm free right now. You want to have a session? And I was like,
Oh my God.
I mean,
Wow.
I'm in a car, but if that's cool with you, yeah, of course. And we had a session, and she really, really helped me to reframe the story of, there's a lot there with my mother and my mother's story and my mother's issues and, the regrets that she passed away with. And so there is a big story there of that. Really, my mother really inspires me and transformed me into a person that doesn't want to have any regrets. I
Right.
make my choices to honor my mother so that I don't have the same regrets that she had, because I have, and it's not her fault. She was not a woman with an MBA, with,
Right.
she didn't have the tools that women of our generation have. She didn't have a choice. She had to get up, make her kids food, drive them to school, clean the house, and that was her life.
Right.
And she didn't have a choice. And anyway, so I have a tremendous respect for her for that. So that's what my book is about. And I want to inspire people. And that's why I'm writing the book. That's
You
like,
already do inspire people.
that's my promise is,
Yes.
we're working on the promise of my book. And my promise is that I want to inspire people, because that's different than being called a hero. Like, I want to inspire people. A very good friend of mine named Amanda Skolnick, she's a motivational speaker now, who was diagnosed with, I believe it was Hodgkin's lymphoma at the age of 21. And I called her and I was waiting for the test results. And I said, Amanda, I've known her since high school. What if I had cancer? And she said, Erica, the universe doesn't give you any more than you can handle. Get that through your head. If you have cancer, you're going to handle it. So you have two choices, and you're going to choose that right now before your diagnosis, that you're going to handle it, or you're going to sit down and be, oh, why me?
Right. Of course.
And, and I think that that's how I want to inspire people to always be, I go outside and I take pictures of leaves and rainbows, and I just am so happy to walk around just because I can. I'm grateful for the fact that I can move my body. It gives you all this perspective, and that's what I want to share with people, and hopefully that's what my book will accomplish.
I am sure it will,
Well, I can't
because
wait for it to come
you're
out.
already inspiring people. Just being on our podcast talking to you, your Instagram is inspirational.
Yeah.
Your beauty going through this is inspirational, but it's not just your exterior beauty. It just shines. It shines through you. You're absolutely an inspiration.
I know.
And
I saw my mother. I'm but a
oh,
little shadow of my mother. I
No.
don't know
oh,
how much you could see this, but my mother was like a goddess.
I can tell she
a
was gorgeous.
goddess.
She was a goddess.
Oh my
She
gosh.
didn't know. She
Oh,
didn't know.
yeah.
She had no idea. She thought she's a woman, so she's not very smart and she can't do much. And so she inspires me a lot because she could do a lot. And I thought that, I mean, growing up with a mother that looked like that was
Oh,
an
please. She's gorgeous. I've seen pictures, and
beautiful,
she gave you beauty as
absolutely
well.
beautiful, my mother, and more importantly, inside than
Of
out.
course.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, be kind to yourself. But okay, should we ask? We like to end with some fun questions. As
Okay.
Because
much
we've
as
had a
I could talk
we've
to you
had a
for
kind
another
of
hour.
not serious. We had like a great conversation,
No,
but now we want to
we just want to feel
make
like
it fun
a few fun
for the
questions.
ending here.
Okay. So, you want to go
So
first?
I love asking this one. So what's a superpower you wish you had?
I wish I could go back in time.
Oh, interesting.
Ooh.
What would you do? Where would you go?
I would go back to my childhood. And I wish that could go back in time, but knowing what I know now.
Oh, it's so
Oh,
complicated though, right?
that's a tough one. I don't know if I could do that.
That's a tough
Is
one.
that like an okay answer? Does that count?
Of
Is that good?
I mean, there's
course.
no wrong answers here. It's the Michael and Mom Talk Cancer podcast.
All right.
That's what
I'm
I
gonna ask you, what is your favorite? Well, you're a writer, so we ask book and movie. What's your favorite book?
There's one right answer to this question.
There's only one right answer. Your own book that you're going to write, because you can travel
kidding,
through
I'm kidding.
time and you can see your book and it's a bestseller.
It's
Do you
so-
have a favorite book?
You know what? I have it. I have a copy of it right there. I don't know if I could give you just one book because
I
it
know,
depends
it's
on the
hard.
mood. Depends on the mood. I love Madame Bovary.
Okay.
I know it's so strange. I don't know if you guys have read that.
No, but now we're gonna look.
Galloway, and it's like kind of, I feel like these are all women that were like, caged women that just wanted to, you know, they were in these situations. They're kind of like period pieces. They're from like hundreds of years ago, and they were women that were highly intelligent, and they were in these marriages and these situations and these societies, and they wanted to escape. And that's funny that we were just talking about my mother, and maybe there's a reason that those are some of my favorite books.
Yeah.
And I am currently reading Fahrenheit 451, which I just love. And I've never
Yeah.
read it before. We
I've
didn't have
read it.
it in my high school.
Okay.
And I just love the way that it's written.
It's amazing.
It's
I read
amazing.
it like many, many, many years, like 30 years ago, but amazing book.
Yeah, you should have
Alright.
said Beyond the Blood by Michael Kramer, though.
You know what?
I'm
I'm
just
gonna
kidding.
order it
I'm
because it's
kidding.
on my list of things to do. I have it on my to-do list today to order
You
it
don't
on
have to.
Amazon.
We're
Yeah, I hope
teasing.
it's delivered. No, but I'm not joking. I'm dying to read it.
Thank
I,
you.
Well,
I really, really want to read it.
Thank you.
And what an accomplishment that you wrote a book.
yes, agreed. What about favorite kind of music?
Yeah, what's your favorite music?
What's your favorite music?
My favorite music. So again, it depends on the mood.
I know.
I love Jim Morrison when I'm
Me
in like
too.
kind of a melancholic mood. I
Yeah,
love to just get lost in Jim Morrison's lyrics.
me
I
too.
love this artist named Charlotte Cardin. I'm sure you don't know who she is.
I
Do you?
don't.
She's from
No.
Montreal. She lives in Paris. She's
Okay.
like the next Celine Dion. She has the most soulful voice. You should check out her music.
Okay.
Charlotte Cardin. She's
Okay.
really, really cool. And I'm a huge Beatles fan.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm a huge Beatles fan, and I
Mm.
just got tickets to see Paul McCartney because somebody told me before you have a big surgery, make plans for after your surgery.
That's smart.
That's
So
Right.
I bought the tickets before my surgery,
I
and it's
love
in
it.
December. And I was like, I'm going to Paul McCartney in December. There's no question.
That's
So
beautiful.
yes, and I feel like and also I have to say Rufus Wainwright.
Okay. I love that too.
You know,
Yeah, of course.
he's from Montreal.
Yes. Oh my
So if
God.
you have one wish, what would it be?
Magic wand. Like if you have a magic wand, you can make one.
Yeah.
I wish that my sons will never have to know any pain and will always be happy and won't have to know any sort of loss. And that's
Well, you know
I
what?
know. We're
I'm-
gonna disagree. But we can't. That's your
I'm
wish.
not-
That's your wish.
That's your wish. That's your wish.
That's
But
your
I think
wish.
I'll watch have a conversation. I think that pain
wish
and
to
loss.
both, but I mean, I don't think that's really.
I mean, it's not possible in life to have no pain and just to be happy.
I
You
know, but they're just so cute and
I
happy.
know.
I know, but you're gonna. It's
Kills
a
me
beautiful.
inside.
It's hard as a
It's
It's
hard, but it's something that makes you who you are, and everyone has to go through pain, loss, and suffering to become a better person. And
You're right.
if you're
You're
like
so
blissfully
real.
ignorant, if you're blissfully ignorant your whole life and just go through it happy, you won't really appreciate,
You're so
you
right.
know.
And
no, it's the pain.
I was like that before my mother got sick, and I even
Hmm.
turned to my at the time husband and I said, I think I should see a psychologist because nothing bad has ever happened to me in my life, and I don't think I would be
Wow,
able to handle it if it did. And then
That's
boom,
that's
she got sick.
interesting.
And
Erica.
so,
That's, yeah,
yeah, because I knew I was like this really sensitive, dramatic. I am not at all the same person. I was
no.
When my mother died, I became Erica 2.0, and now I'm Erica 3.0. So maybe I should revise my wish because I think you're absolutely right. But I can't think of a wish. I can't
But
think
you
of
know,
That's a beautiful
what?
wish.
That wish, I think it's that, I don't know, for me, when I hear your wish, every mom I know, every caregiver
Would
I
say the
know
same thing.
wishes that. But I think my revision of that is
yeah,
I wish that all the pain that we go through, that my children go through, that they move through it, that they move through it and allow it to change them and make them better people, better humans. Because it is true, like our greatest teachers in life are the hardest things we go. When you look back on your life, I was someone like you. I was a dancer. I had a beautiful career. I had a magical marriage. My life was, I always felt like I was granted every wish. And then cancer hit. And
And
then
then I
everything.
ruined my mom's life.
Nope,
oh,
he made it better.
yeah,
But I kind of felt like that too. I had such a magical life. But this has been the greatest teacher. I think it's been such an incredible teacher, and it just gives you so much depth, and your kids have to go through the pain to get to the depth, but they will.
you're
You're,
absolutely right. And that's like the promise and the positioning, and actually part of the title of my book that I probably shouldn't reveal. Whatever, who cares? The title of my book is Dear Cancer, I Love You.
that's
Oh,
beautiful.
that's beautiful.
Because it
It's
really,
literally the shirt I'm
yeah.
wearing is love you with the
Well,
cancer
mine says
sign.
cancer sucks on it. So
Well,
this one says,
that sucks, but
yeah.
it's
That's
me
all.
as a person.
It's fine.
It is me as a person, and I'm sorry that I say that I'm sorry that my mother is not here to see it.
Right.
And I'm sorry that I had to lose my mother to become a better person and to become a stronger person. And I'm sorry. I'm not really sorry for what I had to go through, to be honest, because I don't think that it was very much compared to the horror show of what I saw my mother live. I didn't, I was in pain, but pain is pain. Pain is not losing your faculties and your ability to speak and express yourself and
Right.
be by yourself. That's a whole other. I had my dignity the entire time. Nobody knew I had cancer. So I have no complaints because I saw something horrible before. But I don't love cancer. Um, I'm also a cancer. That's my sign.
I know.
Yes, we're very sensitive
Yes.
to a fault almost, but I kind of do love, not love, but I feel like this path is the path that I was supposed to take in order to arrive at where I need to go. And so this is my official reveal, guys. I just
I
revealed.
love it. We have like the inside scoop.
Have you
Oh
For
even
my
real.
gosh. But it's, people have said that to me before. Don't you hate cancer? And I'm always like, no, because I just love everything that it's taught us. Maybe it's not loving the cancer, but loving what we've learned, loving the community, the people we have met
Yeah,
that we would have never met, the love we have felt, the support we have felt, the connections, the perspective, as you know, like everything we've been talking about this whole time.
perspective.
It, the
Does
perspective.
it bother you? Can I ask you guys when people get so angry about something so silly?
Yes.
Does it
Yeah.
bother you?
Yes.
It drives
Yes,
me crazy.
it definitely does
It's like
bother us. We talk about it all the time.
it
When
drives
we get mad about
me
little things too.
pardon?
Sometimes when we get mad about little things, we just have to remind ourselves as well, because we're also human.
But it's a daily, we always say this, it's like a daily
It's a daily
practice too.
practice.
Just
You
like
know,
complainers that are constantly complaining, like, oh, they don't have this shoe in my size, and they're like genuinely so upset. And I'm just like, everyone's alive. No one's sick.
yeah,
It's a day.
you're alive
Yeah.
today. Exactly. I
You're
know.
alive today. You can walk. And I've
That
actually
is,
curated and I'm no longer friends with many of the people that I was friends with before. But on the flip side, I've become closer friends with people that I wasn't close with.
yeah,
So
it's,
it's been I do have kind of a love affair with this strange illness it's definitely it's indescribable in words. I have to find the words. I haven't found them yet. That's my homework.
we agree. We agree. There's like so much beauty in the pain, and it doesn't take away the pain, but there's so much beauty in there.
There really
But
is.
should we do our last question?
Yes.
The final one. Dun, dun,
Okay.
dun, dun.
So if you knew you were gonna die, if you knew you were gonna die tomorrow, what would you do today?
I would go and play in the park with my two sons.
Oh,
Aw.
Do whatever they want to do.
beautiful.
My
It's,
sons are, well, you know what it's like to be a mom.
of course.
I would do anything for those kids, and that's really the easiest question that I could answer. Is I would just want to do whatever they want to do.
I love it.
Watch
That's
that.
the common thread, is people wanting to be with
That's so
family, with the
beautiful.
people they love. And it is, in the end, we always say it, in the end, what we care about, what matters the most is our human connections and that love.
Yes.
That's what matters the most. Oh my gosh, I could literally talk to you for so long.
Yes,
But
we could, but
oh
thank you
my
so much
gosh,
for being on the
thank you.
podcast.
Thank you for having me. I
Of
feel so
course.
honored, and thank you for your time and your insight and sharing your experience with me as well. And I'm gonna go order your book right now, Michael.
Oh, thank you.
So hard.
Yeah,
You are
amazing.
incredible. You are. I can't believe you're talking to us 2 weeks.
Yes, and this is an official goodbye from your host, Michael Kramer, and
Your other host, Ashlee Kramer, Michael's mom. And thank you so much,
Thank you.
Erica. And if you don't mind, we'll put your website, we'll put your Instagram in the description.
So whatever you want.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Whatever you want. It was so lovely to speak to you. Thank you.
So beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for listening.
Bye, guys.